What is going on, YouTube? How's it going? Welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are doing well and stuff and things. Today, my friends, we are talking about Evolution 3, of course, and it's kind of just a bit more of a discussion video because I've been kind of sat down thinking about what is the sort of things, what is my top 10 things that this game needs that I feel will just bring it to the next level. So we obviously already know that the game has got terrain, enhanced terrain editing tools. It's got the way better decoration tools and customization options for buildings and parks in general. So it's kind of looking at what has already been put in the game, what is the next step up, and I've got a list in front of me here of 10 things that I've kind of sat down and had a thought about. And I've obviously played Evolution 2, I've played Evolution 1, so when I was playing those two games, what were the things that I felt the game could most benefit from? And yeah, this is my list basically. Obviously it is an opinion, so it's just my opinion, so if you disagree with me then that's completely fine. If you agree with me then cool. But yeah, do let me know down in the comments how you feel about Evolution 3 and what sort of things do you want in the game to bring it to that next level. But before that, I just want to jump in quickly and just say, this year, I do want to hit 4,000 subscribers. We're going to make it happen, okay? We're going to make it happen. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, There's plenty more Evolution 3 content coming soon as we ramp up to release. So look, so in no particular order, this is my top 10 things that I think the game could really benefit from if handled correctly and inputted into the game from launch. Obviously, it might not be there in launch, so maybe a DLC option later down the line. But I just want to start off with, I mentioned this in one of my trailer breakdown videos, I think, but having the guest AI react in a way that is more akin to Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, that sort of freedom that the guests have when they're roaming around the parks. I think that will just enhance the whole experience. Obviously with Evolution, the guests are always kind of bundled up. They kind of travel as packs. Rather than in the Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, they kind of just free roam and just go in whatever direction they want. So I think that would just enhance the aliveness, yeah, I'm going with that, of the park. I don't know, you guys can let me know if you agree. Maybe you like how the guest AI is going now, but I think we've spent a lot of time getting the dinosaurs where we want them to be, so why not spend a little bit of time getting the guests and having that just freedom that the guest AI could offer, I guess. So next up is a bit more of a far-fetched one, and I don't think this will ever happen, but custom islands is something that I've wanted since Operation Genesis, right? So when I first played JPOG, it's obviously the main beating heart of that game. You create your own island, then you go in and create your own park. Obviously with Evolution 1 and 2, we never really had that. You've obviously got the sandbox options where you can pick different islands, but there's no option to basically create an island. And I think just having that extra level of customizableness will just make our parks 10 times better. You could have like an Isla Pena type park where it's really, really small. You're basically island hopping, or you can have your Nublars and Saunas where it's like a massive island. And I just think it would just enhance the customizable ness. I just keep saying that word. I'm just going to roll with it, of the game, basically. Next up is a bit more of a PC type thing. Mod support is a big thing. And I think where you've got games like Prehistoric Kingdom and stuff like that, I think, having mod support is just that extra option for gameplay to adjust and, be a bit more fluid, instead of just, getting 5 stars on every island with the current content. I was trying to remember if Evolution 2 and 1 had mod support. I don't think they did, but I think you could cheat the system to basically get your own, like, modded dinosaurs and whatnot. But I think official mod support would really benefit this game. Just having the ability to make custom stuff is just a plus. Obviously with Evolution 3 they have announced that we've got the blueprint the Steam Workshop, I should say, stuff. So I'm hoping that that translates into some sort of mod support. But for right now, I think all they've announced, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think all they've announced is kind of the ability to save your own buildings and, you know, workshop creations to the Steam Workshop. So we'll see. Next up is a bit more of a gameplay thing. So I think I have mentioned this before, but I think Evolution 2, especially in challenge mode, really struggled with the financial restrictions that the game places on you. And don't get me wrong, I understand it's part of the game. However, I do think they need to tone it back just a little bit. I think that just needs a little bit of tweaking. So I think instead of having the financial restrictions, I think it should very much be a focus on the guest amenity side of it. So, you know, maybe the guests require more food outlets or drink outlets, whatever, or entertainment, security, whatever. And I think that's just a better way of going about it. I don't know. You guys can let me know how you feel about that, but that's just my own personal opinion around challenge mode and how the mode works in general, I think. So next up, it would be kind of cool to see some more out there species. Now, obviously, we are restricted as to what Universal and the Jurassic Park kind of series encompasses in terms of dinosaur species. But I think, you know, in the tail end of Evolution 2, we obviously had the Megalodon added to the game, and that was super hype, and I really enjoyed that, actually, because I've always wanted the Megalodon in one of these games. So it was super cool, and I think they just need to relax a little bit with the, you know, what species are inputted into the game. And I do think they're getting better with it. You know, we've got the feathered dinosaurs in Evolution 2, and, you know, the aquatic species are definitely being, you know, leveled up in what they're releasing. So I think that Evolution 3 just needs to be allowed to have its own species introduced into the series, rather than just going off of what we had in the park films and the world films and the novels, etc. So next up is kind of another gameplay aspect, and if you know me and you've tuned into my streams often, you know that I go on about having park security and park cleaners like it is my, you know, it's just a just a constant thing. Having just that extra level of park management just enhances the experience, and that will bring me on to my next point as well in terms of deeper park management. So I know I've complained about how Evolution 2 is a very menu heavy game, but I think having things that you can do in your park that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to a menu, but having you interact with the park just benefits the gameplay experience and the gameplay loop. So I don't know what this deeper park management would be, but having some sort of security, you know, Planet Coaster has the pickpocket mechanic, you know, there is thieves in your park and you have to place down security to deal with that. So why don't we, when we're having a saboteur in the park and, you know, the gates are being opened, why isn't there a character in the game that can be placed into the park by the system and, you know, basically goes round and sabotages your gates, and then you can interact with that character? You know, I don't know, I'm just spitballing ideas here, but so my next like 4 are all gameplay related, so I'm probably just going to reel them all off in one go. So a new 4th game mode, a bigger range of attractions, and innovative missions. So, and I've put JPOG in brackets next to that. But so for the new 4th game mode, obviously in Evolution 2 we had Chaos Theory, and that was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed that. And I think for a 4th game mode for this game, we definitely need to be looking at some, you know, wavelength similar to Chaos Theory mode. I think JPOG did it really well, and that's why I wrote it next to innovative missions, because JPOG's, like, you had the exercises and then the mission menu, right? And the mission menu was, you know, you'd have to take pictures of dinosaurs going around an island, or, you know, you have to rescue John Hammond from a building or something like that. And I think having that level of mission would be really cool. Like if Frontier set up some already made parks and we have to go into those parks and rescue someone, or, you know, drive a car from one point to another and just survive. I think there's a lot of opportunities to do innovative missions than just what would happen if Jurassic Park just kept running. You know, there's a lot of potential there for a different type of mission, and I hope Frontier has done something like that. So bigger range of attractions is something that we have needed since Evolution 1, in my opinion. And for Evolution 3, they have teased that the balloon tour and some sort of aquatic attraction is coming to the game. So I think that's a huge plus. And honestly, I already knew of that fact before writing it down. But I think just spending that extra time, or not spending extra, what? I think just having that extra level of attraction just makes the parks feel a bit more unique. You know, you can only place down a view event so many times before you get fed up of placing down view events. So I think just having, you know, a balloon tour or, you know, an aquatic, some sort of ride, I think it just helps because you can make the park its own and have it different from, you know, the park you created last week, for example. So yeah, I am interested to see what sort of attractions they bring to this game, because I think there are obviously going to be quite a few similar ones. You know, we obviously know the zip lines are back. I'd assume the safari tour is already in there. But then just having that extra couple, or, you know, 3 to 4 new ones that are both original to the series and hopefully similar to the series, that have obviously been in films and whatnot. I think that's just a positive in any way. But yeah, honestly, that's my list. And, you know, I think there's quite a few things in there that we'll never get, but I also think there is some opportunities there to make Evolution 3 the best Evolution game. And honestly, it's already coming out of the gate strong, with the inclusion of babies and everything that they've teased, you know, the terrain tools, the decoration tools, etc. There is a lot of opportunities here for this game to be fantastic, and I think they're going about it the right way. And it's no hatred towards Frontier, obviously, because they're bringing back a series of games that I've loved since I was a little kid. So whatever is in this game, I'm going to love it. I just think, you know, these are just opportunities that I see. So yeah. So let me know down in the comments if you agree with my list, disagree with my list, and if there's anything that you feel that I've missed off my list as well, let me know. Leave a like if you did enjoy, subscribe if you're new. You know, we want to hit that 4K, and yeah, stay tuned for more Evolution 3 content. I can't talk, coming very, very soon, but until then, bye bye.